Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Everything Show 137. We are joined by Matrix Lord, of course, and
What's up?
Danette,
Hello.
Monk,
Hello.
and Mr. Tim.
What's up?
Hey, we have some Star Wars news today. I believe Monk's going to give us an update on that.
Okay, according to an article on NewYorkDailyNews.com, director J.J. Abrams revealed his cast for Star Wars Episode 7. As expected, original Star Wars trilogy stars Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, Anthony Daniels, Peter Mayhew, and Kenny Baker are back, which confirmed what everyone else had already speculated. Newcomers: Oscar Isaac, Adam Driver, Johnny Boyega, Daisy Ridley, Domhnall Gleeson, and Max von Sydow will appear in the film as well. So that's the cast. But J.J. Abrams is directing it.
Yeehaw.
Yeah.
Alas.
So it's a movie to miss. Wait for the DVD.
Oh no!
Oh, come on.
Oh, no.
Even if it sucks, you got to see it in the theater.
No.
Really?
Wow.
I wouldn't
Oh,
pay
that's what they
money
said about
to
the
see anything
prequel. I don't think a lot of
Abrams
people
directed.
that.
I'm sorry I saw the prequels in the theater.
You know, but
A waste of money.
wow!
A waste of money, a waste of time.
Oh no!
Oh, wow.
The Star Wars prequels? Yeah.
Monk's laying it out tonight.
Monk,
Yeah.
what about Melitorians?
Yeah. No, just the Force is just your blood cell count.
Yeah. All right. What do you have, Mike D?
Actually, I was going to say I actually had recent time to watch the Godzilla Asia trailer release, and it looks pretty kick-ass. Looks like there's a Rodan-ish
Oh, yeah.
sort of creature in it.
I think it's
It's kind
called
of-
Mudo.
What is it?
Mudo, it's called.
Mudo, okay. It's kind of a cross between a Rodan and like a
Cloverfield.
Cloverfield sort of monster, yeah. The action looks really, really kick-ass. So,
And Caroline loves it because it shows that Godzilla's not the threat. So she's happy about Godzilla not being in a negative light. But,
yeah.
but
She doesn't want him. She just wants him to be misunderstood, not evil.
yes. But yeah, Godzilla. It's just one of many to come because we own it now in the United States. So legendary pictures. So they're going to be one every couple of years. And I think the next one's going to be a whole bunch of villains for the next one. So I think it's going to be a over $500 million blockbuster.
Yeah. Did we talk about the Justice League film?
Not yet.
Okay. I guess we are now, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, I read something the other day about Zack Snyder was going to be directing this film. So,
It's going to be following, I believe,
Superman.
Batman versus Superman.
yeah.
Yeah. So they try to plant the seeds, I guess, in Batman vs Superman. And then,
Weren't we assuming that last year, whenever they were going to do the Batman Superman, that's what they were doing, is opening the door for the Justice League, right?
right.
So,
But now it's been confirmed that supposedly Wonder Woman's not getting a movie yet. I don't know what's going on with that. That she has a contract, but
that's what
there's
happens when you cast people before you have scripts and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't know
she
what
has-
they're doing.
So what are they doing with that, Joe? I mean, what's DC thinking? What's their...
Well,
Are they
here's the
thinking
thing.
now?
She's
yeah, exactly.
okay. Think about Marvel for a minute. They signed the guy that played Abomination for like 7 movies, and he has only appeared in 1. Because they must have thought that that Hulk movie, he was going to be, oh my god, in so many future Marvel movies. He hasn't appeared, period. Maybe they're figuring that if she doesn't do that good at Wonder Woman, they could just let her out of the contract rather than going ahead with committing her to specific movies. I'm thinking that when they said that they have 9 movies planned for DC characters, I'm thinking like 3 of them are like Batman movies, 3 of them are like Superman movies, and the other 3 could be like Green Lantern reboot, Flash, and Aquaman. So I don't think Wonder Woman's in the equation unless, of course, that movie does phenomenal. Like, then maybe they'll, if she does really, really good, maybe that'll be one of her movies.
Okay, you're in charge of the say-so with DC with the motion pictures. What would you do?
There would be no Batman vs Superman. There would
Okay.
be
At least not yet, right?
No, because she didn't even establish Clark Kent anything. So I would establish Superman in his right. I would have reestablished Batman.
Batman also, right?
No, but you have to see. The thing is, how could you have Batman vs Superman when nobody's seen this Batman before?
That's what I was agreeing with you. I was saying, yeah, you should have him have his own Batman film first,
Yeah,
and then come around to that later.
And as much as Ben Affleck's cool, I would not choose Ben Affleck. I mean, I didn't say, you know what I'm saying. He's dead over my eyes, but I would not choose him. He would not be my first 117 choices for Batman. Yeah, I said 107. My first 117. Yeah, he would not be of the 117 choices I would have for Batman. But I would take someone younger.
Somebody new.
And somebody, yeah. I mean, the thing is that you know, when you look at Gotham's so alternate reality-ish to the Batman universe. It's like establishing the universe before Batman. And this Batman is totally altering the character because he's like they're trying to make him like Tony Stark.
Yeah.
In a way. And that's no good because he's not Tony Stark. He doesn't give a crap about taking, you know, like he's worried about Gotham. He's not worried about the world all of a sudden and, you know, helping out Lex Luthor. I mean, I don't understand that mentality. So I'm kind of confused by, I think DC is so used to changing the universe that they don't have some set history to go by. So they think anything goes, like Smallville.
I think they're just more worried about trying to make some money, you know, and have
Well, if
the
you
next
think
big
about it, Smallville
And-
went in so many different directions that he encountered Zod before he even became Superman, which was like nuts. And they repeated that whole Zod thing from Superman 2 in Smallville. And now Man of Steel is just so out there that, you know, with different things that they're trying to establish a universe, but they didn't even establish Superman yet. You know, it's like he just started. And now you're going to throw Justice League into it and all these characters that nobody probably knows. You know, I mean, this is new generation, so you got to introduce them to the Flash. You're going to introduce them to all this.
They just want an Avengers type hit.
Which they kind of missed the boat with the Flash because Marvel was establishing Quicksilver in the movies, especially in the X-Men movie too. They're the same character in two different movies. So, you know, not only Green Lantern, you know, the only reason they signed Ryan Reynolds was because they didn't want him to do a Deadpool movie. So it didn't really do that great, Green Lantern, to even make sequels, but they signed him for 3. I just think that they're chaos. I think that they have no idea where they want to go.
Well, here's my question. You guys know more about comics than I do, but why would Batman fight Superman anyway?
Well,
Well, it happened in a particular comic book
in the
range, I think.
future he did, where it wasn't a far future when Batman's towards his end, right? Batman's older.
Yeah, the Dark
Yeah.
Knight. You talking about Dark Knight Returns?
Yeah,
It's Dark Knight, yeah.
He's 60 in that.
yeah. So, according to DC continuity, they didn't really fight until Batman was older.
They recently
that's-
had an
that's a
animated
tech-
version of that was
Yeah,
out the last couple of years.
But that's a technically alternate universe compared to the original timeline, correct?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Age of Apocalypse or something like that.
Right.
Well, I think
Equivalent
that's
would
what they were
be-
going to adapt for this movie, though, is that
Yeah.
storyline.
But in this one, Wonder Woman's in the movie too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're just throwing anything in there, hoping it'll stick. It's
See,
not working.
They feel that the young generation loves that Superman and Wonder Woman are going out, but you didn't even establish the characters yet.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, it's nice that they have in Hot Topic all these T-shirts with like Superman sticking his tongue down Wonder Woman's throat, but I mean, which they do have those shirts, by the way, in Hot Topic, and that's all they're promoting is like that romance, but there's no comic to it. There's no villains. There's no. It's just like a soap opera.
They're throwing the comic book stories out the window just so they can have this massive movie where everybody turns up, so they can say, "Hey, look, it's the other Avengers."
But it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. Anybody knows that. They're desperate though. They're seeing what Marvel's doing, and they're just like going, "What's going on?" Because Marvel's so successful and have yet to have a flop. Even though they're throwing out things like obscure things like Guardians of the Galaxy, which not a lot of people know about,
Right.
which is going to be a hit. So.
Now it will
or Ant-Man. So
I think
Stephen Price would like an invite.
Are you saying that DC should have followed the model that Marvel's doing? And
no. I'm saying that they should have followed their own model, but they're obviously in so much chaos they don't know what they're doing. They
They're
should
playing
have.
catch-up.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, now they have a show called Arrow, which I've seen 1.5 episodes already, which I like. But they even almost crapped on that
Right.
because they were concerned with the movies, but then they can use that as a tool to promote, but they don't even recognize that as the main DC universe because they're not going to have anything to do with the movies with Arrow. So.
What's up, Mr. Price?
I cannot sleep here.
Dude.
I just feel that the Batman vs Superman thing is just a hype to get money, and it's going to fail miserably.
Yep.
I think that it may do money, but not what we expect. And I think that's going to be a big turnaround to bye-bye Affleck and, all this other nonsense. I mean, I could be wrong. He could be the best Batman there is. We'll have to wait and see. But
It seems like DC's at the stage where now they just make an announcement and say, okay, we're going to do this. Then they try to gauge the public reaction to it, and then they decide, is that a good idea or not, or should we do something different? So what they're really trying to do is throw stuff out there and see if it's going to catch on. And they've already had a successful Superman movie, right, last year or the year before. So
they're just afraid. They're afraid to do a Flash movie or another movie. They're just afraid because they're afraid it's going to bomb. So what they're doing is to put everything in one movie without it being called Justice League.
Well, it's not going to be cool then.
I mean, they're throwing Wonder Woman in Batman Superman just to see if she could have her own movie. Not because of anything else. I mean, Green Lantern already. I mean, let me look up Green Lantern box office because I'm getting a little. I want to know for sure.
Whatever they do, stay away from Aquaman.
They're not.
Poor Aquaman's kind of the picked on member of their little group.
Child.
Exactly.
Okay, the Green Lantern movie had a budget of $200 million. Okay, it made 219, so it made $19 million, almost $20 million profit, which is terrible, absolutely terrible. So that's not even worthy of a damn sequel. Only because the budget was so high and it didn't make that much of a profit. Even overseas. If they didn't get the money from overseas, it would have been a flop because it only made $116 million here.
Wow. I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah. It was that bad.
I watched a bad movie last night. I turned it off after 10 minutes.
And what was it called?
The Three Stooges.
Oh, God.
Oh, my.
God.
That was really bad.
Let me look up Man of Steel, see what that did.
Mike D has one hell of a light show going on behind him.
Yeah. I think it's the Close Encounters aliens are flying by.
All right, Man of Steel had a production budget of $225 million. Made $668 million, so that was a huge profit. But, and here is the but, $377 million came from overseas. So it only did 291 here, which not only, I think that's a good amount, but most of the money's coming from overseas. Very interesting.
Well, a lot of the action films that are made in America do very well overseas. Sometimes they flop here and do well overseas. So that's really nothing new. I mean, it's been that way for a while. Isn't it? Like, remember whenever in the 90s, Stallone and Schwarzenegger, they couldn't, they'd be on the streets begging to get money over in the States, whereas overseas they were big news,
I've always had the impression that it's going to be really complicated for DC to put together multi-hero type films. For some reason, it just doesn't seem like it translates well on the screen like it does with Marvel.
They just have to make single movies. Like
Yeah.
Flash. Just take a risk. Make Flash. Make, why not Aquaman? It's one of the hugest companies, Warner Brothers. I don't understand what they're scared about.
It's not that they're scared, it's that they're envious.
Yeah, but you know what?
They're scared to throw out money like they did with Green Lantern.
Thinking about this, the Marvel characters, the one thing that always differentiated them from DC is that the Marvel characters seemed like they stood on their own more with their secret identities that could carry something like a film more so than someone who was like boring like in the DC universe. I mean, I don't mean like Bruce Wayne but I mean like, come on, Clark Kent, like some overgrown Boy Scout nerd working at a paper. I mean, who cares about that? I mean, when you have someone like a complex character like Dr. Bruce Banner or like a Tony Stark or something,
Well, isn't that the whole point, though, that he's just an average, everyday nerd that works at a newspaper? I mean, look how brilliant Christopher Reeve was in the first couple of movies.
Oh,
anyway.
I love those films, but in fairness, though, that's why we go to the movies, because we don't want to see, like, the mundane. I mean, we could go to the Starbucks and look at a bunch of yuppie nerds drinking coffee,
Yeah.
They're not going to run into a phone booth. Well, they don't have phone booths anymore, so there you go, but I guess
no, but I mean, the whole point was, who would ever suspect that this nerd would be, that guy? And that was the whole fun of that. I mean, that's what they captured.
But it just seemed like it was more of a simpler time. Like Christopher Reeve, that Superman wouldn't be. I would dare say they couldn't pull that off today, because like it's just a darker, it's a more cynical sort of society out there. It's not the same sort of crowd as the people that went to go see Christopher Reeve in the late 70s. And I love those films. I grew up on those, like all of us.
Right.
Well, that was kind of my point when I was saying that Brian probably wouldn't like Close Encounters because it was a different type of film.
I don't even know if Michael Keaton's Batman would fly over that well today, and that was just like 20 years ago.
I think it would.
Michael Keaton's Batman when I saw her.
Well, I think it would based on Jack Nicholson's performance. Jack Nicholson really sold that.
Nicholson was the only reason to watch the film.
I don't even know how many people in a younger generation than mine even know who the hell Jack Nicholson is now.
Shining, I don't know.
Just loan them, just give them a copy of The Shining and tell them to watch it, and they'll know who Jack Nicholson is.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to somebody not long ago. I was talking about Paul Newman, who was like arguably like one of the biggest movie stars ever. No, I mean before that, like and Luke, all that, and they were like
Towering Inferno.
This girl, early 20-something. She's like, oh yeah, that's the salad dressing guy. Was he in movies?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I was talking to a 20-something-year-old girl. She knew about the Beatles, but she didn't know who they were, and she didn't know that two of them were dead.
What? Oh.
Whoa.
God.
But to your original point, Mike, that is the world we live in now. Where, a lot of young people don't know about the past because all they get thrown at them is garbage all day, like what DC's trying to do. And, you can maybe turn them on to something classic.
Does that finally mean we have to admit that we're getting older?
No.
No.
Okay, good. Good.
We don't have to admit it.
Not at all. In denial.
Yeah, they just don't.
I honestly think they're just scared to throw the money out. Honestly, because it's Green Lantern.
But I mean, like Spider-Man's interesting. There's so much you can do. I mean, he's this nerdy kid who's like we can relate to this kind of person growing up in high school, and like the X-Men, we can relate to like being that person who doesn't fit in, or maybe like has some sort of on the social status level of things, or
Well, see,
whether
the thing is,
race
I'm very worried about the Spider-Man franchise because
Why? They just had a big hit, didn't they?
I'll tell you why. Because when I was reading comic books, we had quite a few titles. We had Web of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, Spider-Man by Tom McFarlane. There was so many different titles, right? Every couple of years, Marvel Comics created a new alternate universe. Okay, they would do a universe called 2099. That worked for a little time, and then they ended it. They did a Marvel Knights type of thing. They did Age of Apocalypse. They did all these different things. They created the ultimate universe, okay? And they really believed that this alternate universe where Spider-Man is like 15 years old in like 2000 and something rather than 1963, they really believed that Oscorp being behind all the villains, that people would choose this over the original universe. And they actually was planning to replace the original universe with the ultimate, like just phase it out, and nobody ever took to it.
Yeah,
Nobody
that's a mistake.
ever accepted it. Well, here's the point. This is where Nick Fury was black, modeled after Samuel L. Jackson. Okay, because Nick Fury in the comic was white. Okay. The whole Oscorp thing with creating all the villains, that was from the Ultimate line. Where the Green Goblin looks demonic, that is the Ultimate line. In the Ultimate line, Mary Jane wasn't a supermodel, soap opera, like all these different things, plays, whatever. She was a tomboy photographer for the Daily Bugle. Totally different. In the Ultimate line, Gwen Stacy didn't die. But in the Ultimate line, Peter Parker died. Okay? And gave the uniform to a 13-year-old kid named Mike Morales, which is Spider-Man now in the comics, but totally different. And my biggest fear is that when Mark Webb is making the Amazing Spider-Man movie, he's not modeling it after the real Marvel Universe. He's modeling it after the Ultimate line, which wasn't completely successful.
Well, have you seen the new movie?
Not yet.
But you've heard it's really good, right?
I have heard it's good, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, by whom?
It's not out yet, though. It's not out until Friday.
No, Hayden's seen it, and
yeah, but not here.
I've heard really good reviews about it. I mean, from a lot of the people that you guys talk to. So,
right.
So I don't know. I mean, I thought that you'd be impressed with it, but I guess you're gonna have to wait and see.
I'm a big critic when it comes to Spider-Man, so we'll see.
I mean, aren't those other comic book lines you were talking about? Are those just kind of like what-if scenarios, kind of like alternate?
Well, no, because see, the thing is that with what ifs, it's a one-issue alternate take on it. But the Ultimate line's been around for a couple of years. The Ultimate line of comics.
Oh, so you're afraid the movies are gonna go there?
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. Which it was, because Mary Jane was the scene that was cut. She was a photographer tomboy, so he was going in that direction, but then he cut it because fans were flipping out that they don't want that type of Mary Jane. Which turns out the actress that was playing Mary Jane, I saw her in Divergent, was great. So she would have made a perfect Mary Jane, had to be the right Mary Jane character. So I'm just concerned with keeping with history. I mean, you don't have to keep it like the 60s, 70s, 80s, but don't change it so unrecognizable that people just, that's what I'm worried about.
They're just trying to get people to watch it, the new audience, so they're going to go with whatever theory or
We'll see. But if you still look at it, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies were way more money-making and successful than Amazing Spider-Man line so far.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, but people were hungrier for it when that first series came out, too.
Yes, but even Spider-Man 3 was a top money-making Spider-Man movie of all time. Almost $900 million.
So that proves there's no accounting for taste.
Which I know.
I mean, there never is. But it's funny that was only a decade ago, and they've already relaunched it. I can't think why they just didn't continue with the same line. Or
Because
something.
they wanted Sam Raimi to have more than one villain, and they promised him he would leave him alone, and he had John Malkovich as the Vulture, and they stepped in for him to change it, and he quit. And then they says, "You're all fired. Reboot."
See, the problem is they get into these ideas where like they gotta like structure out all these long-term goals and plans for all these like sequels and everything. Just make the damn movie, and if it's good, it'll warrant
Just
it.
let the guy that made it a success make his own movie instead of stepping in. I felt that Venom in the third movie was a mistake.
Right.
Too early. Too early.
You know, they made
It
They
worked for
made-
Winter Soldier. It worked, but not for Spider-Man.
yeah, it's like they made Chris Reeves Superman. It was a brilliant, awesome film, and then they made like an equally brilliant, awesome sequel after that. You know, years later after that, they weren't like, well, we're going to go right into doing this and then right into that, and 12
Well,
years
actually-
later.
Actually, that those two films had their own headaches because they sacked the director about 75% of the way through the second one.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so there are two different cuts of the Superman 2 that you can watch.
I heard
Yeah,
Uh,
I came close to buying one today, actually. I was like, I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah. I mean, I was just going to... You just kind of made my point for me that, yeah, they had trouble with studios as far back as that, 78, 79, just with the
Yeah.
same problems. Like, okay, what if we cut corners and sack this director because he's not doing what we want him to do, and we'll just finish the film with somebody else, and will it work or not, you know? And then you had, you know, actors like Gene Hackman saying, well, I'm not going to come back and film anything else if that's what if you're going to sack the director, nah, I'm done later. And so that's kind of what happened in that scenario.
But he did come back for 4, which is terrible.
I never saw the third or the fourth one. To be honest, I don't think I've missed anything. I mean, all I've ever heard is bad things about him.
You would be
You
right.
didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
The villain in the fourth one had such a girl voice that they used Gene Hackman's superimposed voice over for the villain.
Was that like Nuclear Man or something?
Yeah, that was Nuclear Man.
It
Oh.
was the same thing with the Batmans, wasn't it? The Burton ones were really good, and then the other two that they followed up with were just meh, horrible.
Well, I
And it's
don't
like-
agree with Batman Returns. I'm not a Batman Returns fan.
Which one is that?
The second one.
Yeah, I wasn't really crazy about that.
Well, but you got Michelle Pfeiffer dancing around in a
I wasn't
catsuit
crazy
like
about
that.
the Penguin character, but
I mean, at the time, I was cool with it.
And where the hell's the Riddler
Oh.
at? Why don't we have a good Riddler?
I don't like the. You don't like the Batman Forever?
No.
Oh, okay.
I didn't like. I
That
didn't
was
like 1, 2, or 3.
That was like an Adam West kind of throwback, just with Val Kilmer in it.
I like that one actually, believe it or not.
Oh, man.
But Batman and Robin
you're-
was the worst.
And you're worried about Spider-Man 2, and you like Batman Forever? Come on.
Well, I'm not a Batman fan though. See, I'm not a Batman comics fan, so I don't really.
Must be if you like Batman Forever. You mustn't be a Batman fan.
I'm not a comic book fan. Let's put it that way.
I was listening to a show that was giving a thorough trashing to Dark Knight Rises, and they brought up some very good points in that film that were plot holes that was pretty funny, actually.
I didn't like Dark Knight Rises.
I don't see anything. I don't try to look at what movies that I really like. I don't look to pick. Like Dark Knight Rises, Dark Knight.
My only fault with Dark Knight Rises is you got an actor like Tom Hardy. Why does he have to wear a mask the whole time? Because he's a very good actor. And,
Yeah.
you know, he's been in some brilliant shows. So I mean, the
that's
thing,
the Bane character.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
he had that thing on his face the whole time. It just
But he
didn't.
had to be.
You know
Yeah,
what?
but
What would be great is if we had like someone like David Fincher do a Batman film and have like is it Hugo Strange? Is that the character?
Yeah.
Do something like that, like something just real dark and like foreboding, like Arkham
Daniel
Asylum.
like
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, you know, give it some David Fincher touches to it. I mean, Nolan did a great job for what it was.
I like
but,
the Batman. Those Batman movies.
Yeah, those were great.
Those are my favorites.
I mean, other than the fact that, you know, apparently Batman can survive a nuclear blast, you know, 3 miles, 4 miles away from Gotham City, but, you know, I guess I guess Aquaman came in handy after all. He must have done something out there in the Gotham Bay or whatever.
Everyone
Oh,
knows.
give it to that.
Everyone knows who Batman is too. That's another.
Yeah.
Give it to David Lynch, and it'll be completely incomprehensible.
Oh, jeez. Well, you know, Lynch was going to do Return of the Jedi.
I know.
That's
For about 10
frightening.
minutes. It's like, nah.
What do you think of the new Star
don't
Wars?
want to go
You think it's gonna be? You think it's gonna be good? Like honestly,
No.
I know you don't.
Honestly, I don't see the point in calling back these actors that, you know, are really all almost octogenarians and stuff. I mean, what are they thinking? They're just trying to get people to come back for nostalgia reasons rather than, you know, just this is the story you should have done 20 years ago or 10, 15 years ago instead of doing those awful prequels. I mean, you should have just, you know, now you can tell this is just a money-making exercise. They just want to make money. They go, oh, well, we haven't had Star Wars for about 15 years. Let's get some Star Wars out there.
Are they
And
going
let's
after,
just bring back everybody.
Are they going after our generation and basically just
Yes.
cha-ching, cashing in on our nostalgia, trying to rape our childhoods?
Yes.
Pretty
All
much.
right. All right, well, yeah.
I mean, the idea that you're going to send Carrie Fisher to a fat farm, whatever that means, and try and get her in shape to do this kind of thing, it's just
I think that's
stupid.
that's a nice gesture.
On paper, that just that's very sexist.
You know what?
And
It shows that they really care.
So that means Jabba the Hutt is in the next film, right?
Oh my god.
Listen, when the movies are all said and done, they could say how it changed their life, it got them in shape. Now they make workout videos. Come on.
No. I mean, in the sense that you would go to that length and then put it out there in the media saying that, well, of course she's, you know, in her, what is she, in her 50s or 60s or something? Like she's, you know, she has to
You know what?
go get
They're gonna spend $5 million
to look like she did 30 years ago.
She was only 19 when Star Wars came out. She was 19.
Listen, if they're gonna spend $5 million to get her in shape, go ahead. Why not? We just throw a little more, get more money for the budget. I'm fine with it. Same thing with Harrison Ford. You want to make him like Arnold Schwarzenegger, buff that and whatever. He's 74. What is he, 74 now?
At the end of the day, I would say that if you want to bring back these characters, then do an animated movie and just have them do the voices. Then it would make sense.
That would never work.
Probably not for the big screen, but maybe for television.
But if they are wanting, you know, the money, why did they wait so many years? And
It was all George Lucas. It was all George Lucas's fault. Completely. Because he did.
Yeah, you know what? In my mind, George Lucas is a two-trick pony. I mean, he did American Graffiti, which was a great movie. He did Star Wars, which is a great movie. And after that, nothing. He had to get Spielberg in to help him with Indiana Jones. That's the only reason that's a success, is because of Spielberg.
Well, the last one was just such a letdown, though.
No, but you get my point, though. Lucas has not had any success as far as, because, well, and you know, the idea that you're gonna come back and change your movies 20 years later and have, you know, Greedo shoot first and all that nonsense. Like that. Because all of a sudden, oh, you're older and wiser and you're more politically correct, and you know, my character would never shoot at that poor green alien. And you know what? And the truth is, yes, Han Solo is a bastard. He would shoot that green alien. That's the whole point of his character.
Right.
He's a mercenary. That's the way it works.
First of all, it's kind of hard for him to change Han Solo's character when Anakin Skywalker is supposed to be a hero, but then he killed kids and saved people and young Jedi kids, and then you want everybody to praise him with action figures, like, oh my God, he's awesome. And so how could you change Han Solo like that then? That's stupid.
He doesn't know his own characters. I mean, it's just he's too busy trying to. Oh well, I'm so more enlightened now in my wiser, grayer years. Let's just redo this.
And then he redid that whole scene from Jedi where, like, Empire, when he's talking to the Emperor, and they changed the whole dialogue. And he's like, how could Luke Skywalker, how could that be possible, Luke Skywalker? Like, you know, and he's like questioning about that. It's like, when we first saw it, we saw Star Wars Empire Jedi, but they changed the whole dialogue.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
And I know your favorite scene. No!
Oh, you mean the girly scream?
I don't understand why he had to say that when he threw whatever. It's not cool. We don't need to have 50 special editions.
No.
Bring on Buckaroo Banzai Part 2. I'm ready for it.
I mean, that just goes to show
yeah.
a lack of originality when the guy's busy tinkering with movies he made 20 years prior.
That was always the thing when they say that, if you keep working at it, you're going to ruin it. What's the actual phrase, Monk?
It's very close to that.
It's something like if you keep trying to redo something, like if you're going to eventually destroy the original completely. So you got to just let it go.
Jump the shark?
Possibly, yeah. Well, I mean, because the original Star Wars that came out in '77 was an accidentally brilliant movie. I mean, accidentally an awesome flick that nobody could get enough of. I mean, it was so huge.
Well, now they're trying to change.
Like that.
Disney is stepping in, and they're trying to change Boba Fett, and they want him to be a hero.
He's dead.
Yeah, he got ate too quickly.
They're going to move movies anyway, but they said that Disney is stepping in, and they says we want Boba Fett to be a hero, and then George Lucas camp is saying he's not like he's a bounty hunter. Like
we want to sell more toys.
We want T-shirts, yeah.
Yeah, this is the typical Disney BS, though. They're just looking to push product.
Well, that's what the prequel trilogy did too. I mean, the minute I saw the first one in the theater, I was like, "Oh my God, this is just one long toy commercial, isn't it?" Because look at all these things flying around. They're just going to be toys next week.
Well, that's what they're trying to say. That Boba Fett's not evil. He's just misunderstood.
Yeah, but I mean, whereas like Lucas was like trying to push product, it's like they're basically raping you, but at least Lucas is buying you a drink first, is what he's doing.
See, my thing is if I write books and my characters are a certain way, that's the way they are. I'm not going to change it for, that's stupid. At least I hope I won't at that point. So when it gets to be movies.
Yeah, well, they become movies, and then the next thing you know, you're going to be going back and tinkering with making such and such character. So. Really?
I hope not.
Well, to Joe's point, though, I mean, if you ever are going to turn a book into a movie, there is going to be concessions you have to make with the studio. You're going to have to agree on certain things, unless and until the author of the book writes the screenplay, which then he has full go on it. But even then, too, it's like night and day. Books and movies are like night and day, and people that love books never like the movie. They always like the book better because they read the book and they have it all in their own head, and they make up their own mind about the way things should be. So when they see a movie, that's somebody else's version of the book.
Right.
Well, what about Game of Thrones? To the Game of Thrones fans out there,
well, they're going to be movies actually.
But I mean, you guys are the fans of that series. I mean, do they hold well to what's in the books, or?
See, I haven't read the books.
I haven't read the books. I don't know.
Well, that's why you like it.
No, I thought Harry Potter was better than the book.
Wow.
Well, there you go then.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I read the book. And I was like, this is awful. And then I heard they were going to make it into a movie. Then I saw the movie, and all the stuff I hated in the book is not in the movie.
Well, there you go then.
Everything in the book that was awful, didn't make any sense, or boring, not in the movie. Oh, the movie's better than the book.
Well.
That's great then. That's exactly what I was saying, because people make up their own mind when they read books. So if you hate a book, you might enjoy a movie too. There you go.
True. Well, I did that with the True Blood. I bought the whole, like 8 of her books for True Blood, but I didn't get a chance to read it. It's just sitting in my room, like the whole, because I like the True Blood series, but I figured maybe I might like the books better. I didn't get a chance to read them yet. But anywho, what else on Everything Show?
DreamWorks, Mr. Peabody and Sherman failed. It was a box office failure.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know,
Yep, it only grossed 260.8 million worldwide. So that's a failure.
That's a failure.
Yeah.
is it really?
Wow.
Because of all the production costs going into the making of it. DreamWorks
So it
reported a net loss of 42.9 million, or 51 cents per share for the first quarter, due to a $57 million charge for Mr. Peabody and Sherman.
Well, if you think about it, yeah, because it cost 145 million to make,
Yep.
but not counting that 50. How much? 50 what?
57 million.
Okay.
So you're saying the
So
fee to get
it's
the
a-
characters is what costs them so much money? Is that what you're saying, Monk?
Well, the cost to actually make the film.
So basically, it's like 205 million to make, and it only made 260.
260.8 million.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I wonder how they did with Tintin then, because that was an animated film, and I would imagine this Peabody was more successful than that, wouldn't it? Or no?
Tintin did. Didn't say what the budget was, but it made 373 million. So it was just, they said it was a success. It's actually getting a second one next year, I think. Second and third planned, actually.
So DreamWorks was hoping that people our age would go see Mr. Peabody for nostalgic sake, and I guess we
I
didn't. I didn't
I
see it.
didn't.
Although I
Captain
do
America.
have I do have the Mr. Peabody game on my cell phone. I did not.
I
see
didn't
the
even.
movie.
I was like, oh, all right. I mean, just
I'd
because
never heard
it's
of
from
it.
my time, just because it's from my time doesn't mean I would go see it. Just like Paddington Bears coming out with Peter Capaldi. I don't think I'm going to go see that. I mean,
But they probably thought people my age would take our kids to see it, but I guess we didn't.
I didn't.
I used
In
to
fact,
watch. I used to watch the cartoon as a kid.
Well, my kids are not. They're not kids. They're teenagers.
Yeah.
So they weren't really any interest in that. They were too busy wanting to see some horror movies with me. So
Well, see, that's exactly the market they're aiming for with stuff like Batman versus Superman. Is the teenagers? That's what they want, and so they'll have to drag their parents to see it, and their parents are probably gonna be like, "This is so garbage."
just want to say Captain America is at 646. 646 million. Yeah. It'll probably make 700 million in a week and a half. That's really good. That's the number 3 Marvel movie of all time.
Wow.
Like Disney, whatever. Avengers, Iron Man 3, and then that. So, pretty good numbers. Just want to see what Oculus did because I love that movie. Kids love the movie too. Joseph saw it twice. 26 million, almost at 27. I think it's still a success because it was a $5 million budget. Hopefully, it gets a sequel. I hope so.
Yeah, and hopefully they shoot it with Karen Gillan back here in my neighborhood, so I can go meet her and give a shout out to the cast, since I missed her this time around.
Yeah. Never know.
I still hit my head against the wall over that.
Yeah, me too.
I missed it. No! Like Vader says.
I know. All right, gang. I gotta go to work tomorrow, so good night. Have a good night.
All right.
Take care. Bye for now.